PhD in recirculating aquaculture, basically focusing on the effects of accumulating substances on pipe perch. As Nicole as well, I studied in Sterling for my master's, so it's a great place to study if anyone's still looking for a place for their master's. I did work for a while after my master's at a German development agency, and then I decided to go back to research and do my PhD in Germany at Kiel University. Now, I'm finished. I'm still working on the project for at least the rest of the year, and then I see what I have to do then, and I'm having some job interviews coming up soon, so it's quite good to get that information from you. Thank you.
So again, my name is Nicole, Rhody, and I'm one of the World Aquaculture Society Student Activities Committee members. But my other job is that I'm a research scientist, and I have been for about 17 years now at a place called MOTA Marine Laboratory. I work in the Directorate of Aquaculture and Fisheries. And I did my undergraduate degree in the States, but both my master's and PhD were done also at the University of Sterling. So I bring, my background is more or less in reproductive, finfish reproduction, physiology. I've also done everything from live feeds to larval rearing. So I have a pretty widespread CV at this point that crosses a number of different disciplines. So.
Morning. I'm Patricia Moraes Valenti. I'm from Brazil. I'm a board member of the World Aquaculture Society. So, but I'm a biologist. I'm graduated biologist, and my PhD and master in thesis was mainly researching with macrobrachium freshwater prawn culture. But currently, I'm working with integrated system. So I'm researching I'm teaching in São Paulo University, and in research in São Paulo Aquaculture Center of São Paulo State University. So, what more? I'm here to answer the question that I hope to help in something that you need. Okay, that's okay for me.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jorge Dias. I am one of the founders of Sparus, so I'm Tomé's boss. But what I would like a little bit to translate today is the fact that there are many opportunities for the students, and the aquaculture is a very, very vibrant industry. Will require a huge effort from both sides. I myself, I've been in your shoes, so because I did my master in aquaculture, I'm a marine biology by training. I did my master in France, then I did my PhD in France, then I came back to Portugal as a postdoc fellowship, then I work for a private company in France, in a large multinational. Then I came back to academia again to be a researcher at the University of Algarve, and then I founded Sparus. So there is no clear path that is defined today for you as a career. You make your choices today, they don't have to define what is your career in 10 years' time. It is in your power and in your reach to then take the most. Or if you're not happy with one situation, you just have to be strong enough to decide, no, I've made, this does not fit what I had in mind, I will change, and I will look for something else in which I could express myself better. So this is, to me, at least that is an important message, which is the opportunities are there. You are very skilled, you have been more and more, the education level has been progressing, you have much more opportunities to reach knowledge in different fields. So for us, for instance, at Sparus, not everybody makes business or money out of models, but we have managed to see there an opportunity. And with modeling, we also work on molecular biomarkers and different topics that could become a business elsewhere. And therefore, we need people that don't come, or that brings us that type of expertise that can range for environmental engineering to molecular biology. Just to give you again the example of Tumer, today he spoke about the modeling because we wanted to give this as an example, but Tumer was my PhD student in proteomics in aspects related to the flesh quality of fish. So we need that type of expertise. Most companies, even, we are very small, but even the big ones, they are totally looking forward. They don't need maybe a classical fish nutritionist, but they need someone that integrates other areas with the fish nutrition. I'm saying this fish nutrition because that's the area where we are more familiar with. Yeah? So for the first round, I just wanted to be not provocative, but in terms of provocative, I also would like to know what you guys are doing to get successful at the job interview. It's not just, it's a fact, as it was mentioned, you should prepare. But it goes much beyond that. Now you have so many tools to convince me as the CEO or as someone from an industry that I really need to get this guy. Not just because he's bright, but he came to me with the proposition of something that will generate value to me. And that we don't see that often, and I think that you guys are bright enough to come up with that type of also propositions to us. So again, that was the provocative part.
Just as a little information for all of you guys, as you said, something to add that you could add. Actually being active in either the WAS student committee or the EAS student committee might be this something. I mean, that happened to me at this interview, that they actually told me, okay, we mainly invited you, or we're interested in you because you are working with the EAS. So it might be interesting for companies to see that you are interested to go beyond studying, so put some more effort in, but also that you have a certain network that you can rely on. So think about that and then contact either one of us if you want to actually be committed and join the EAS student group or the WAS student activity committee.
I would just add something briefly to that too. I would like to say that, there's no one clear path that everyone has to do the same thing to be successful. There are many different roles and jobs that you can do, and don't be afraid to go out there and get some work experience. First, some people will, go from start to finish all through school. I didn't do that. I went to school for a while, and then I worked for a while, and then I went to school some more, and then I worked for a while. And all of that working experience was very beneficial for me to continue to grow within the research group that I have that I'm working with now. So there's more than one way of doing things. There's no one formula. So I just want to stress that, because sometimes I think people feel like they have to, go all through school, or, that's the only way, but it's definitely not.
Does anyone have some questions right now for the panel? For the first round of questions? One over up there.
Hi, what you all said was really interesting, and I was wondering how easy is it to transition from one species to another? So I've done my PhD on shellfish, but I'd really love to get into finfish or something else. So how should I kind of package myself to say, hey, I don't have any experience in this species, but I'd love for you to give me a chance? Like, what's the best way to do that?
I will then pass to Patricia, but let me give you, I have never, or at least I never saw myself confined in a species or in an area. Although I have not made that big change like mollusks to fish. But my recommendation, without knowing exactly what you are working with or things like that, would be take your strong points in terms of your capacities, not just on the specificity of your team, of your topic, but what were you able to do with the mollusks, and then search a little bit what is done in finfish, that type of expertise that you have learned or you have developed is eventually not covered or could bring something that would be relevant to the fish problems. So you have to make this sort of seeing the intersection, but a little bit going beyond the intersection, going to see what are your capacities that are very common, maybe it's very simplistic in the mollusks world, but in the fish that would be something new, that would bring a new, and then you add value to your contribution to when making this transition.
Oh, let me try to explain, answer your question. I don't know if I'm available to answer you, but let me try to. You talk that you work with shellfish and to change it to finfish, okay? And so about your formation, you are graduate in biology, animal science, marine science. Okay. I'd like to tell you that we work with aquaculture. I used to say to my students that aquaculture is a three-dimensional environment. So to work with one species, we need to understand the water quality, the environment, the everything. So despite you work with shellfish, you work with aquaculture in general. It's not so difficult to change too much. Just to read about these species and to implement in your research. Maybe you can work in an integrated system you put together. It's an idea for you. That's mine. Nowadays, I'm currently working with integrated system. My main research was with freshwater prawn, macrobrachial, and special in Brazil, but we will take advantage of this environment. This is I'm telling you everything because it's more sustainable for us, for the environment in general, for the animals, animal welfare, to make the balance of the health of the pond, of the environment. That's my suggestion for you, that you can include it together, okay? I don't know if I answer your question.
No, that was great, thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm currently in my final year of my PhD and looking at job potentials at the end of it. And currently in a state of potentially going to academia, staying in academia, but I would also be interested in industry jobs in potentially aquaculture. How honest should you be in an interview when that question comes up saying, what other jobs are you looking at? Would you see it as a strength if I was to say, oh, I'm looking at this postdoctorate, or I'm also looking at working in the industry? Would you see that as a strength or weakness? And should you be honest about it?
Perhaps, John. Then Nicole, sorry.
Yeah. Again, that one I will have to answer as a personal or our sparse policy. I cannot, we cannot represent, let's say, a large multinational company, so because they have totally different human resources management strategies. But for us, if you came to us and we were in the middle of a process and you would say, I have several options on the table and all that, it would not be considered detrimental. It would even be potentially a positive thing to know that you had also selected in the process by several other companies would somehow reinforce our idea that you are a good candidate and that you're making a move towards finding a job to you, because we like to see that as a proactive personality and all that. And better to know it at a certain stage, let's say early stage, than spend a lot of time and really dedicating a lot of our time to make the selection, making an effort to let's say even we wanted really to get you and we would raise your salary and we would negotiate and all that, and at the end you tell us, no, I will move. Then we would not be angry with you, but be disappointed because we did not get you. But that's, let's say, our internal policy. It's not something that I would say that I'm speaking for the full industrial scenario. Maybe you have a better perception how these things go in a more broader scenario.
No, I actually very much so agree. I would say that it would not be detrimental if you told us that you were looking at a number of different positions. In my particular case, all the research, or a large portion of the research that I do, is to benefit industry. So if you're a competitive candidate, you know, we may even modify things to see if we can, you know, retain, you know, your interests, or think about how we might put you on projects that are working directly with industry, if that's where your other job interests are, if you were a competitive candidate. So I don't think it can hurt you, again, from just my standpoint of telling us if you were looking at something else or being considered.
I think there was another question over there.
Hi, this is for the women of the board. Maybe it's not appropriate to ask you, but in the States, I've definitely been asked, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? And I'm 35, and yes, I want it all. I want the career, I want the family, and I don't really know how to answer that question, and I want to be driven, and I want to show them, but what's the best way to pinpoint that?
I think that if you have a plan of how to be motivated, I think it's totally fine to say all those things. I think today people wear a lot of different hats, as we say. You can be a number of different things. You know, there's many people that you know, they're a wife, a husband, they have a family, they have children. They're also extremely career dedicated and driven. And I think that just stating what your goals are is really important. I think people want to see goal-orientated people, that they've thought about where they want to be. It's the people that aren't really sure. It's okay to, you know, not be 100% sure if you're going to stay in a job for 15 years or 10 years, but just to have a plan of how you can see yourself growing within that industry or at that company, and how you're going to bring something to the table to, you know, you are an asset to your employer. So the main thing is stressing that from my standpoint. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's good, thank you.
One question over there. Two questions, actually.
Hello. My question is about soft skills. How much do you value soft skills in a candidate? And how do you advise people to develop those soft skills? And how do you evaluate those soft skills in the process of hiring someone? Because in my opinion, I really think it's really, really important to be very proactive, not only be an expert in something, but know how to apply that, and know how to work with that, and how to help the company itself or the research group. Because some people are very smart, but they don't know how to deal with all that knowledge. And some of them are much less smarter, but they are very proactive. They want to help. They want to cooperate, and they don't wait for you to tell them what to do. They start doing it right away. How do you value that and how do you evaluate these soft skills in someone while during the process of hiring?
To be honest, well, we value a lot, but we are a very small company also, huh? So we are now, let's say, approximately 18 to 20 persons, and so the entire company is very much based not only on the expertise that each one brings, but also on the soft skills, because everybody somehow has to bring and help a lot of the other activities of the company. If people are here today, you're not here because you're a scientist. You will have to discuss things at the booth with, on topics that you're not working on a daily basis, or you will have to come to the extrusion and help with the production of a feed. So, but that's again our expertise. In there, the soft skills, the capacity of the people to adapt it to work as a team will be extremely relevant. Also, the capacity, we are more and more exposed to an external environment, so people will have to cope with going to speak to customers, be able not to stay only in the office doing the back office, let's say, job, and the other person will take that responsibility. But that's because we are small. In the big companies, they are more structured, so they can have people with, let's say, different levels of development of the soft skills, because they can somehow sort who does what. In our case, we try to develop them. It will be important for the spirit of the company that we have that part. Now, how do we somehow evaluate and sort this out? There I will be 100% honest. It's either when myself or Luis we interview, or if there's someone else from the company also involved, it's like we like it or we don't like it. I will be 100% honest. We don't have enough training on that type of aspects of human resources to do it in a more, let's say, schematics or fair way. It's really a matter of feeling when we are doing an interview and things like that.
Do you use that 1 month of experience after hiring someone?
Yes, legally we have that type of things, but to be honest, when we take a decision of hiring someone, we are not still thinking about that. It's when we decide that it's you or you or you, it's because in our head, you're the right person. Then it can come out that we were wrong either. One thing that in your presentation I was feeling is that one of the things that you should ask when you guys are applying for a job or are at the interview process is an exact description of your activities, daily activities, not the job description. We will manage this and that and that. That is too vague. You have to have a perception of what will be your first week of job in the company. What will you do? That will give you an idea if your position or your job is well defined also in the company's head, if they know exactly what you will do, because sometimes that creates a gap between your expectations, because you see, I will be managing projects and all that, and at the end, at least during 6 months, you will do exactly what you were doing without the term manager. It was you're sort of just covering holes in the project and things like that. But that's part of the job. But that is important that you have a clear description of what is your job. And for the soft skills, it's very vague, the term. When I went for this job in a large multinational company, I had one of the questions, I had an interview with the big boss. And he asked me, I was going to the R&D center, but he asked me, what will be the percentage of time that you will allocate to the office or to the lab or to the animal, to the experimental facilities? How will you divide your time allocation between office and, let's say, lab activities? And I didn't have the job yet, so how could I say how much time? Nobody had told me. And of course, as a researcher, we tend to put everything into perspective. Well, it will depend. Sometimes I will have periods where I'll be more at the office, others I will be more in the lab and all that. He said, no, how much? And I was there for 2-3 times. And at the end I said, well, maybe 50-50, okay. Because to him, he was not assessing, he had nothing to do with research or with my job. So he didn't care. I could have said 99-1 or 199. To him, the only thing he wanted to know is that I gave the answer of 2 numbers, 50, 60, or whatever. It is, his only need was for me to take a decision on how I was perceiving my job. And that is the type of things that sometimes we are not trained, and it's impossible to get trained on these things.
I think the soft skills are also actually very important. I work with a small team of researchers, and those individuals, we rely on each other for everything. Adaptability is a huge importance to us. Flexibility is important. You know, you may be given, you know, a job that, you know, you have a job description for, but you may have to be able to help your colleagues that do something completely, their expertise is in a different area, but you may still have to assist them. So a lot of the questions that we ask are, you know, what is your willingness to be able to do other things? What do you think about, you know, time management is a huge deal. You know, to be able to manage all these different projects at one time. You know, at one point you may be doing this set of things, and another day you may do another set of things, even though your primary responsibilities are here. Are you able and willing to manage yourself or perhaps people under you? And those are things that sometimes you learn over time. They're just not there. I would rather look at somebody that maybe doesn't have, let's say, the best academic record, but they're confident, and when we ask the questions about adaptability, time management, they answer those questions very strongly. I will take that personally, and I know that my team would say the same over the person that has the best academic record. So that's just my standpoint.
Because you asked how actually did you get to those soft skills, I did some interviews for scholarships. So I was interviewing candidates for the National Academic Foundation in Germany, and that's not based on if I like them or not. To be honest, that doesn't really matter, but it's based around flexibility and academics and everything. So they have a couple of set questions, and they just want to see how you react to them. And that might be weird questions like, how many diapers are used in China every year or every day? And you will look at me and be like, how am I supposed to know that? But it's more about seeing that. Then you'd be like, okay, well, if I have to find this out, I would count these people and calculate this and that. So with this kind of more or less flexibility, they had these set questions and just wanted to see you react in a way. It didn't really matter if you answered the question correctly, because there was no proper correct answer to that. Or there obviously is a correct answer, but nobody knows it. But if you were flexible enough to actually react to the question and start to think about it.
Okay, I'd like to add something for everybody. To talk about skills. Skills is very important for us. Everybody has special skills. One person can dance or sing or make something different things. But in my opinion, the skills is good, but the mainly thing is the attitude. I don't know, I don't have these skills, but I'd love to learn it. I will learn it. I don't know how to do, but I want to learn it. The attitude to learn it. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. It's impossible. But for all of us, I'm here. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. But I have some skills that is important or not. Depends on for what. But the attitude, I don't know how to work with it. But if you teach me, I can learn. It's important.
That in my opinion, is a skill. To realize that you don't know everything and you want to learn about those things. That is a skill itself.
I learned to learn because it is very important for us in our life, in different areas. Because if you want to learn, we want to be the special.
Be proactive on that. Exactly.
Yes, you agree with me. I don't know.
To completely agree with you. Realizing that you're not good at something and that you have to improve that. And wanting to improve that is already very important.
Yes, yes. It's proven that the intelligence is not the main thing in the world. I don't remember exactly 5% this is important, the intelligence. The attitude will make the person to increase the career, the different kinds of things that you do in your life, in everything, not only in career, in aquaculture, or in your life, in different kinds of things. If you want to learn, I want to learn. If you teach, I don't know anything, but if you teach me, I can learn. That's the attitude that will be the difference between everything. The most intelligent student in the class want to be the most, how can I say, the important, successful person in the world. The attitude. We have in many students, I had, my husband and I had a very intelligent student, but totally lost person. Very, very smart, I don't know how much, but totally lost it. Because they didn't have attitude to learn, to stop, oh, I don't know, but I want to learn. That's important. That's.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? To continue with the same issue, do you think the industry, that I can convince the industry that coming from a PhD with no working background and only coming from academia, can the industry be interested in hiring me and or is interested to show me the techniques if I show that I really want to? Can they risk their benefits for me, for example? Because it's the case of me and many other people who didn't have working experience and are coming from academia.
The simple question is yes. I have no doubt about it. It's not the fact that you have a PhD. There's nothing wrong with having a PhD. Everything is good, and at the same time, of course, nobody expects that if a chance is not given to a young or recent PhD, it is impossible. This is a soup in which we have all levels of training and of degrees and different functions. But at least in aquaculture, from what I see in the last years, and again, we are much focused on let's say, on the fish nutrition, fish feeds, or these types of companies in which we deal more of feed additives and this. A lot of the recent hirings that they have made, I would say that more than 90% is PhD students or young PhDs. So I would say that at least in our area, in our field where we feel more comfortable, it's a good hiring ground for you guys, in my opinion.
I would say the same. There's no discrimination against whether you've worked a lot, or that you come straight from school. I just like to tell people that don't be afraid if you aren't sure, or you're not sure maybe what you want to specialize in, that it's fine to go and work a little bit, if you do. But some people, they go straight through, but it's definitely not a problem. Not at the government level, at least with the friends that I have that are doing the hiring, or at my laboratory.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my question to the gentleman from Sparus again. You almost answered my half question, but still I have the second half. So I'm wondering, you mentioned about fish nutrition. Do you work in special fish species? And the second one, do you produce fish feed also, or no? Thank you.
Yes, we have a booth outside in the trade fair. I invite you, not only you, but all of you, of course, if you want to know a little bit more about Sparus, you can come and we'll give you the full picture. But yes, we have, how we created Sparus is, as I said, I had an academic training. I did my PhD in fish nutrition. Then, even when I worked in a large multinational company, I was in the R&D department. I was doing research projects, developing new products. When I came back to Portugal, I was again a researcher. So, together with Luis, which is the other partner of Sparus, when we created the company, we wanted this company to be an R&D company, because that's what we were, let's say, good at. We didn't have a product to sell. We wanted to sell our scientific expertise. And for that, one of the major, let's say, differentiating points of Sparus was that we built what we call a pilot scale feed mill. So we can make fish feeds with extrusion, all the technologies that you want, but in very small batches. So we serve for a lot of the research institutes, or even for the private companies that they can only do in big quantities and they need 50 kilos of feed to run a trial. Generally they come to us. Yeah? But so we work for many species. We do feeds for tilapia, for shrimp, for salmon, for whatever sea urchins, whatever species comes to as a request. But and then we also work with full range of capacities of manufacturing the feeds. But I invite you to come and visit us there in the hall, and then we can explain it a little bit better. Yeah.
Are there any more questions? Okay, one question over there.
I'd like to ask you about the right time to move from academia to industry. I mean, in my case, I'm close to finish my PhD and already secured a postdoctoral position in my institution. But one of my colleagues told me that don't stay too, if you want to go to industry, don't stay too long in academia, otherwise you will be, I don't know, your chances will be downgraded. What's your opinion on that? Is it better to move to industry directly after PhD, or it's also okay to stay one or 2 years as a postdoctor and afterwards go for industry?
Again, I have a difficulty in finding how a decision of you staying for 2 years or accepting now a postdoc would condition your life in 3 or 4 or 5 years later. It depends on you. It's all on you. I did a PhD, then I worked for 2 years on a postdoc, then I went to a private company. So I cannot say that by staying at university after the PhD, you are losing value to a future industrial world. It can happen, depends on the person, on the personality, depends on the topics that you decide to focus, but you should always, even if you go to a very, very, let's say, fundamental approach that has no industrial interest or something like that, when you come out of it and you want to make this transition, it's up to you to put into value what you have done in the past. You have to highlight it in a certain way that the future, let's say, job that you are applying can see it as something positive to you. Yeah? So I cannot give, let's say, more than my opinion. I cannot give this is good, this is bad, because the only thing I can tell you is that that happened to me. I finished my PhD, I did a postdoc, and then I got an industry job. So maybe I'm the exception, I don't know, but at least it happened for me.
I can just give you a brief example too. I had a student that worked with me, and then he was actually hired into a research position, and he worked with us for about 3 years on several projects that were benefiting some industry people. And after that, not so long ago, he just came to us and said, you know, I think I would really like to go and have an industry job. I appreciated this experience. It was a good stepping stone for me. And he was actually hired on by the company that we were doing research to help. So it's one example, but it definitely, you know, he was not discriminated against, you know, at all. They hired him.
Maybe it's harder the other way around. When you have been for several years in the industry, to come back to academia, because the system in academia for evaluating, for selecting, is the metrics of evaluation are number of papers, number of projects. And I remember when I stayed almost for 7 years in the industry. When I came back, of course I applied and I won my position, but then, for instance, to get new projects, and you are evaluated on your last 5-year records on publications or previously funded projects. And I had like a gap, because during 5 years I didn't apply to any projects, or publications was not at all my priority. So coming back from the industry to an academic position might be a bigger, let's say, difficulty than the other way around.
We have time for one more question, if there is one.
I have a hypothetical question for you. You have 2 workers, but next month you just can pay 1 worker. One work a lot, but have the half of the results, the other will work less. You don't know if you continue like this, or if they have the same results in the future. What you do?
First, if there is one issue for that specific month, either I don't get pay and I pay both workers on that month, or eventually I try to reach a deal to see how I could pay 2, because for me the most important is not to select A and B. It's I really need both people are important to me beyond their daily job. They have a family behind it. I cannot just say, now I just have one, get rid of the other. At least that's not our way of seeing our workers. Yeah. So that type of questions doesn't come that often. What I have to see, if I have to make a very hard choice on that type of scenarios, is how can I take, you were saying one is very good, the other one is not that good, so how should I take this decision? I have to make an effort to see how I could make the other guy become, maybe something is also my responsibility that things are not working well for him. So it's not that simple. You have to put things into a much broader perspective, but at the end, we don't see people as really assets that we can manipulate like pawns or something like that. And I think that now very few companies do it. It's no longer part of, I think that most people understand that in some cases when things don't work well, it's also part an organization problem and something that we didn't create good conditions to that person to express. At least that's my opinion on how it goes. So I will not answer your question.
It's a good answer.
Does anyone want to take an answer to this hypothetical question? Okay. Well, I guess we'll
I just have one question, which is in a few months' time, we will open a position for a junior researcher as a fish nutritionist. So if there are CVs around that might be of interest, well, contact Sparrows. But it will be an announcement, it will be public, but we will just say that just in case there is someone in the audience that might be on that type of field. Yeah.
Thank you, George. That's also where we
also have, at the institute that I work for, at Moat Marine Laboratory, we have a number of internship opportunities. We also have a postdoctoral program where they advertise a position every year, sort of in a different area of expertise. It's a 3-year paid position. And I think they're going to be receiving applications for that coming in October. You can find the details on our website, or you can come and speak with me and I can tell you more information about it. But internships, extension things, we're always happy to host different people. So let me know if you have any interest.
Any more job offers? Well, I'd like to thank you very much to all of you for being present at this panel discussion. Also for the audience to be here. I know it's a bit late and you all are hungry. So thank you very much for your presence. Don't forget, later today it's the student reception at O'Sullivan's Pub. We have directions in social media, also in our front desk. So we'll see you later. And again, thank you